Hi everyone, we're going to do more trig identities. Basically, we want the left side to equal the right side here. These are more difficult ones. And the ones that we're doing, a lot of them are based on your LCD, finding the common denominator. So I'm going to write the left side in terms of sine and cosine. And if you notice, the numerator and the denominators are the same, except for the plus and the minus. So I can easily copy this. Alright, now my common denominator for the numerator is cosine times sine. And all you're going to do here is cross. So you're going to get sine squared minus cosine squared. Looks like a times. Okay, minus. And now do the same. Denominator is going to be cosine times sine. And cross here. 1. So you're going to get sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta. Alright, I just crossed here. So basically these two cancel just based on rational equations. Sine squared, this piece here, equals 1. So that cancels out. Or we have sine squared theta minus cosine squared over 1, which equals that. So we've got our answer here, and it matches up. So the next one's very similar. We have secant theta minus cosine theta over secant theta plus cosine theta. You notice they're the same except for the sign changes. And we want this to equal sine squared theta over 1 plus cosine squared theta. So this is pretty basic here. I'm going to write my left side in terms of cosine and sine, or in this case, just in terms of cosine. The only difference is between the numerator and the denominator is the plus and minus. Now my common denominator is cosine, and again, you're just crossing here. So that's going to be 1 minus cosine squared of theta. And in the denominator, we have cosine theta, and you just cross, and you get 1 plus cosine squared theta. All right? These two cancel. This piece equals sine squared. And just copy down your denominator. And that does equal sine squared theta over 1 plus cosine squared theta. So we matched it up and we proved the identity. The next one is a little different. It has tan of theta minus cotan of theta over tan of theta plus cotan of theta. Looks the same, but in this case it has the plus 1. And this is supposed to equal 2 sine squared theta, which is pretty basic, so we don't need to work on this side. This is what we want. So I'm going to rewrite everything in terms of sine and cosine. I'm not going to do anything with the 1 until later. So what we have is sine over cosine minus cosine over sine. Same thing, but a plus in the denominator. What do we have? Cosine plus cosine theta. I'm just copying this. And then we have this plus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep treating the top part with the common denominator, which is cosine times sine, and just cross. So you get sine squared minus cosine squared. And then do the same for the denominator. cosine times sine, and we get sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta. Now, we still have this plus 1, but like the previous problem, these cancel, this equals 1, so what we're really left with is sine squared theta minus cosine squared theta, and then we have our plus 1. And what I'm going to do is write sine squared theta, and I'm just going to rearrange these. I'm going to put, because remember this is what we want, so I'm going to put plus 1, and then I'm going to put the minus cosine squared theta. And we know that this equals sine squared. So what we're left with is, I'm going to put it over here, sine squared theta plus sine squared theta. There's 2 of them, so we have 2 sine squared theta, which equals what we wanted. All right? The next one is the same kind of thing. We have tan theta plus cotan of theta over tan theta plus cotan of theta. Yes, that's not right. This is supposed to be a minus. And then we have this little tag-along guy, 2 cosine squared of theta. And all of this is supposed to equal 1. Now, there's not much you can do with that. We have to have this all equal 1. So, basically, what you're going to do is you're not going to deal with this guy till the very end. Now, we already kind of know what to do with this. So, I'll go ahead and write it again, but it's just sine. I'm not going to put the thetas on this. Let's go a little faster. If I go too fast, then I mess up like I'm messing up now. So, cosine over sine. And then we do it again. Then we have this tag-along guy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the common denominator stuff. And since I already did it on the other video, I'm going to go ahead and write this out as cosine theta, sine theta, and this is going to be sine squared, theta minus cosine squared theta, and do it again. So we're going to get sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta over cosine theta sine theta. Now again, these all cross out. This equals 1. And now we're going to go ahead and add our tag-along guy. So I can I'm going to go ahead and copy him down just to save room here. So we have sine squared theta minus cosine squared theta plus 2 cosine squared of theta. So do you notice when you have these guys here, do those last. So, and then it should be obvious. This part here is 2 cosine squares minus 1 cosine squares is 1. So you have sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta, and this equals 1. So it does match. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to do for this video is secant squared theta plus tan theta, it's not squared, over cotan of theta plus cosine of theta. And this is supposed to equal tan of theta times secant of theta. And if you look at what this is really sine over cosine, and this is 1 over cosine, which is equals sine of theta over cosine squared. Now, so just know kind of what our end game is here. So write this in terms of sine and cosine. You have 1 over cosine plus sine over cosine over cosine over sine plus cosine over 1. I'm leaving the thetas out because I'm trying to go a little faster here. So this is just going to be 1 plus sine theta over cosine of theta over cosine theta plus cosine of theta over sine theta. And we should cross multiply here, so this is times sine theta. Alright, now what I'm going to do is go ahead and factor out a cosine on the next slide. And I'm going to get 1 plus sine of theta over cosine of theta times, and what I'm doing is I'm going to flip this part. So we're dividing by that, so actually means you're going to multiply by this. So this would be times sine of theta over cosine theta times 1 plus sine of theta. Alright? And when you get that, what you can do is cross these two out, and you're going to get sine of theta over cosine squared of theta, which is basically what we wanted. Or you could write this as sine over cosine times 1 over cosine, which gives you tan of theta times secant of theta, which is our desired result. And that's all of this one. The next set is kind of similar, a little harder, and that will be part 8. Thanks and have a nice day. Bye-bye.